What are these gentlemen spelling out in semaphore? Yes.
Help!
Oh, you'd think, wouldn't you?
On the day Paul McCartney died, and there's a replacement or something,
You're not quite that, but you
I am
see...
a walrus.
No. Yeah.
We is George, John is all, Paul is live, and Ringo is Yellow Submarine.
But not in one.
Not in, no.
No, right, OK.
That's the elderly brother of the Beatles. It's not allowed to be seen.
Oh, don't stop.
I'm Yellow Submarine!
Now.
Hey, drink believer! Oh, that was the monkey.
Help!
All right, I don't.
That's very good. Well done.
As it happened, the photographer who was commissioned to do the cover of Help did ask them to do it, but for some reason nobody liked the outcome graphically. So instead they positioned their arms in a pleasing arrangement, which ended up spelling N-U-J-V. Like so. Which...
It probably meant something to them.
Well, no, it gave rise to the first, as David intimated, the first of the great Beatles conspiracy theories. This was new, unknown John vocalist, people said.
Oh, for crying
I know, isn't it tragic? Claiming that John had therefore died.
Ruined the band.
He'd died and been replaced, apparently.
So John had died and been replaced, and they said, we need a way of telling this thing, so let's get John back out, stuff him.
Yes, I know.
Surely a conspiracy theory, he wouldn't even know that John's in it, he's not dead.
But actually Help would have looked like, which seems perfectly acceptable to me. There you are. And so it wasn't Help, it was N-U-J-V. So what are the other famous, if they are, or infamous Beatles?
Barefoot on the Abbey Road cover.
The Barefoot on the Abbey Road cover is the absolute classic, isn't it? And what did that indicate?
Dead.
Well, supposedly John is said to be dressed as a preacher, Ringo as an undertaker, George as a gravedigger, why a gravedigger in denim, and Paul, with the suit but no shoes, is a corpse. You might also notice that he's carrying a cigarette, but if you were to buy a modern copy of it, you would find that cigarette had disappeared.
Where's it gone?
There. Look, it's gone.
Wow.
Disappeared.
Wow.
Was there? It's gone. Anyway, photographer Robert Freeman wanted to arrange the Beatles to spell out Help in semaphore. Didn't like the way it looked, so they went with N-U-J-V instead.
In 1988, ladies and gentlemen, in 1988, Warner Communications, as then was, paid John F. Zengstack $28 million for the rights to a single song. Just want to know what it was. 1988. Yes, Linda Smith.
A bit pricey.
It was. It was. They reckon they'll do very well out of it.
National anthem.
It was not the national anthem. It was not copyright, yes.
Was it the theme to Button Moon?
Lovely idea. It wasn't that.
Okie dokie.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Mark Gatiss. It was indeed Happy Birthday to You, which was composed in 1924 by a couple of old biddies.
$28 million.
$28 million. They make about $2 million a year out of it.
What did the people sing in 1923, for goodness sake? They brought the cake out, everyone just stood about in a slightly awkward silence.
Which is infinitely preferable than having that bloody song sung at you.
You're older, you're older, you're older.
Yeah, it was written by these two old things, and Irving Berlin included it with the words Happy Birthday to You, which they didn't write. Nobody knows who did write those. He included it in a 1933 musical, so they sued and won and retained the copyright. And in theory, if you sing it in a restaurant, you owe Warner Brothers money because it's counted as a public place.
You'd have to be very honest to phone them up and go, oh, it's a birthday, how much do I owe you?
And I hummed a few bars and let it be as well.
Happy Birthday was the first song to be sung in outer space from the Apollo 9 crew. Do you know what the original song was written as, what the lyrics were? They weren't Happy Birthday to You, as I said.
It was a Death Row song.
No,
You won't be alive tomorrow.
Yeah. No.
Don't bother making your bed.
No.
Really, really good idea for Ainsley Harriott would be Ainsley's Death Row Dinners.
What's the odds?
Because he's so jolly.
Now, originally, it was written as a teacher's song to sing to their class, Good Morning to All, it was called. Then it became Good Morning to You, and then Happy Birthday to You. That's its history.
What does Puff the Magic Dragon have in common with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? Christmas. Lee.
Are they both about drugs?
They're not. A lot of people think they are, but neither is. Do you know Puff the Magic Dragon? Do you know the song?
Puff the magic dragon.
He lived by the sea.
Lived by the sea.
And he
Wallowed in the land of France and Lee. Puff the magic dragon.
Oh, very good. That's excellent.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's the song. Yeah, it's based on an Ogden Nash rhyme called "The Really O Truly O Dragon," and it was a Cornell student, Leonard Lipton, and he gave it to his friend Peter Yarrow, who wrote the song. And Peter Yarrow tells us quite specifically, even if I'd had the intention of writing a song about drugs, which I may have had at a later time, I was 20 years old at Cornell in 1959. I was so square, as was everyone else. Drugs had not emerged. I know Puff was a good dragon, would never have had drugs around him. Now you've heard that from the mouth of the dragon's daddy. It is not about drugs.
He thinks he's the dragon's dad.
Yeah. And he's not on top.
There is that.
It was going well until the very end.
Do you know the official story of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds?
Yeah, didn't Julian come home from playgroup with a picture? Julian Lennon, that is,
Yeah.
and they said, "What's this?" And he said, "It's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds."
Brilliant. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
The
Well,
very
he's written
tiny-
the whole song.
No, he'd done a painting.
Bloke upstairs going, "That's my job!
Stolen a painting!
Get me a pen!"
Christ. No, he'd done a... Little Julian...
I've got Lucy up here!
Oh, God. Little Julian had painted a picture of a girl surrounded by stars, and it was his friend Lucy in playgroup. And John said, "What's that then?" And he said, "It's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds."
That was the older brother that spoke like that. I've been through it.
And,
Julian, what for?
yeah, according to interviews with Lennon and the other Beatles, they didn't notice that the initials spelled out
LSD.
LSD until after the record was released.
Can you name a female outlaw?
Well, not Jessie James.
Bonnie out of Bonnie and Clyde.
Strictly speaking, there is no such thing as a female outlaw in British law. Outlawry is when an individual was placed outside the protection of the law. And females denied protection of the law were called something else. They were called waived women. Isn't that awful? So their right to any protection was said to be waived, so left out or not regarded. Can you name a male outlaw of the Wild West?
Of the Wild West.
Yeah.
Oof.
Billy the what's it?
Billy the
Billy the
what's
Kid?
it?
Yeah.
Billy the Kid?
Sundance Kid.
What's her name?
Butch Cassidy.
Going on and on. So, again, there were no outlaws as such in the Old
you
West,
amaze
male
me.
or female. So, in the original meaning, an outlaw is merely somebody who's been put outside the law, so
Right.
denied its protection.
Da-da, da-da,
That's a fantastic film, isn't it? So none of them were outlaws. In order to be an outlaw, you have to be set outside.
Are you trying to hum the theme tune to the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not the theme to the
Do you know the
Din, 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 din. It's
No,
not-
that's Bonanza.
Oh, that's Bonanza.
Oh, I liked Bonanza.
was Bonanza.
Yeah. I think it was right. I think we need
What's the
I
next
demand-
one?
That's the Muppets.
someone good.
Does anybody know the bloody theme tune?
Come on, everyone.
Anybody join in?
What kind of music do spiders like?
Well, I reckon they got 8 legs. They'd appreciate a one-man band. Yeah, that chicka chicka ching dum dum. No, they'd kind of appreciate that all-round entertainer.
Etc.
Kylie Minogue.
What is that?
Spinning around.
Oh, spinning around, very good. You could have said Andrew Lloyd Webber, I suppose.
Actually, on a similar note, might it be Cliff Richards? Because isn't his
Richards?
real name Cliff Richard, rather? I beg your pardon. Webb.
Oh, yeah. It's all very good. Marty Webb. It's all just, isn't it?
But I don't
beginning
think
to-
spiders are that into puns. Their name's Something like flies, stuff like that. Jeez. I'll tell you an interesting fact about spiders. The huntsman spider, which, well, a little fact everyone knows, doesn't actually build a web, is the only spider with lungs.
Oh, I like that.
So you can get it a birthday cake with a candle on.
Yeah.
That's a sweet thing to think of. What a nice way of thinking. What do spiders do to flies?
They wrap them up in web, like in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and...
Silk.
And then take them off, wait till they've toughened up a bit, and then they eat them.
Well, that's the other thing, they don't eat them, they drink them.
They drink them.
Because they squirt them with acid that dissolves them into a sort of...
Flies, when they land on your
kind of
food,
soup.
they immediately vomit on it. And then they tread about on it like that, get it all mushy, and then they digest that.
That's quite rude, isn't it?
It is. They listen with their feet. Their 8 feet.
Here you coming.
And they have a penis on their head.
Oh,
That's on the end of a little feeler. That's where their mating organ is, the males.
they're just a mess, aren't
Exactly. They're all dickheads. They have 8 eyes as well, most of them.
Spiders have 8 eyes and 8 legs.
Yes, yeah. Well, the answer to this question is it does seem to be classical music because they did an experiment and they found that in
Who are
the
they?
University...
Who are they?
University of Ohio, in this instance, is they, or are they?
The University of all else better to do.
Well, no.
Formerly the Polytechnic of all else.
So, domestic spiders were subjected to Bach, techno, which I believe is some kind of modern music, and rap. For techno and rap, they built their webs as far away from the speakers as possible, and for classical music, close to it. Someone very close to me told me about a music called Tesco. Do you know about that?
No.
It's a blend of disco and techno. It's sweet. Known as Tesco. And they have Tesco evenings in certain nightclubs.
Really?
That's a type of modern young person's dance music, like two-step UK garage, for example, which is my particular favourite.
These would be nightclubs right on the edge of town. On the edge of plenty of parking.
Describe the plot of, or sing a song from, the popular musical The Bathrooms Are Coming.
The bathrooms are coming. Thank God, I need a shit.
Bill, can you do me Cisterns Are Doing It For Themselves?
Oh, very good.
The bathrooms are coming, lock up your pipes. The bathrooms are coming, where are your knives? Kill them, they'll be coming. Kill them, the bathrooms are coming for your lives. They're coming for your souls.
I've had him installed now, but there's nothing to pay till September. I'm on a HP high, and ain't no debt collector ever gonna bring me down. Water may be very hot.
Don't let the grout go mouldy on me. In country and western.
Well, if you're gonna do country western, it's gonna be fixed shower head, driving me wild. Can't find my crevices, no matter how hard I try. I'm gonna put my leg up.
No, don't.
Pull my jump to the side.
Thank you. Well, that was a big surprise. Thank you very much. Do you know what that might be? The Bathrooms Are Coming, written by a Broadway musical composer, but not for Broadway.
Was it a bathroom
commercial
company?
or something?
Yes, the American Standard, they were called. And this was one of many, many, many industrial musicals which had their heyday between 1950 and 1980. 30 years of exciting musicals for conventions of various companies and their salesmen all over America. And they would write specialist musicals just for the salesmen, just for the conventioners, not for the members of the public. But they had big budgets and they were written by Broadway, serious Broadway composers who hid their names, I think.
Yeah.
But that's an example of one. The Bathrooms Are Coming in. An original musical presented by American Standard, as you can see. The Sound of Selling. B.F. Goodrich, 1966 sales meeting musical. It's not exciting. The Saga of the Dingbat.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Isn't it?
It's mental, isn't it?
These were going on. Well, when it started in the 50s, by about 1955, America made
Gone
two-thirds of the world's goods. Two-thirds of manufacturing industry in the world was American.
Was this at the height of this week's show was brought to you by Lorimer Cigarettes?
There was all that sponsorship going on
yeah.
the Ed Sullivan Show and things like that, yeah.
So, wait, hang on. If you want to... hang on a second. Oh, hang on. If you've a hankering for knowledge, but can't be asked for college, then this is the show for you. Sorry,
That's the one. That's the cue.
It's really quite interesting show. Sorry,
Whose music do cats like best?
Is that cat listening to Purple Rain?
Purple Rain, you made a cat joke. I like it. Oh, good.
It looks like it's in Old Smoky. It looks like it's in an electric chair.
Smarky, I think, rather than Smoky.
Electrocuting that cat. He's not listening to anything.
Is it jazz?
No, well, not jazz, actually. Perhaps, unsurprisingly, cats are not that interested in human music of any kind. Pretty much indifferent to it.
Really?
Yeah. But they do like music specially composed for them.
Do they like birds?
Cat music is... Well, it sounds like mouse and bird, and indeed cat sounds.
These are cats enjoying themselves, are they?
Yeah.
Not being tormented.
No cats were tormented in the making of this sequence. If you listen to the music,
quite lovely.
It's got slight calls and slight birds and
It's got
purring
hums.
things. Yeah, cat noises in it as well.
Yeah, but is it true that cats don't meow to other cats, only to humans? I'm being genuine.
No,
I
I'm
was
fascinated
told
with the
that
idea. I
for
don't
me.
know.
I'll go along with that.
Yeah.
I've had cats, and then you don't see them meow. They just kind of... They just...
Yeah.
To each other, the body language
they
pretty much
hiss if
does
they're
enough.
fighting.
Go up very close to them and go, yeah, you get the food, I'll go out the back. You know. They're just whispering and hissing and all sorts of other noises.
Yeah, but it's only
not...
with humans that they go, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
You're right.
Younger cats more receptive to that sort of music than middle-aged ones, and some like it so much they rub their faces against the speakers. They get very, very excited by it. And the same cat music composer is working with the Smithsonian National Zoo on cotton-topped tamarins, who like silence more than music.
How do they get the funding?
Yes.
But shouldn't there be a cut-off point where you're going, oh, the cat doesn't like my music, I'll change my music, and then you go, oh, the cat can't work me cooker. Devise a cooker that the cat can use. Yeah. And then essentially you end up living in the cat's house. Isn't there a point where we should maintain the human-pet relationship?
You're right. You've painted a nightmare scenario.
Well, I just don't know how big the roof will be.
No, none of us does.
When you come home and you go through a flap, you know it's gone too far.
Anyway, cats prefer their own music to Atomic Kitten or Cat Stevens.
How can you squeeze the maximum number of quavers into the smallest possible space? Yes, Josh.
Oh, no, Josh! Is this...
Yeah.
I'm going to share yours now, Sandy.
Oh, my.
Unbelievably delicious, isn't they?
Yeah.
Bad luck.
I like twiglets. I met a man in Sainsbury's dressed as a twiglet.
You were dressed as a twiglet.
No, I didn't even know it was a job you could do. I would have definitely done it. Anyway, quaver, where do we get the word from, do you think, the actual word quaver?
Is it French?
No, so we're going to go Middle English. What do you think it meant?
Middle English, did you say?
Middle English, yeah.
What, so quavers have been around since medieval times?
No, the word. I think this batch has been around since medieval times.
It means to quiver?
It does mean to shake.
To shake.
It's a letter S. Look at that. Isn't that weird?
Oh.
You are so easily pleased.
Oh, this is...
So it began as a meaning of shake and tremble. Then it became singing in a sort of tremulous voice. Do you remember when women in church always...
wherever you may be.
Yep. And then it became the name of a musical note. Anybody know how long a quaver
Is it quarter?
It's an eighth. There are semiquavers, which are 1/16th, followed by a demi-semiquaver, which would be... a 32nd. A hemi-demi-semiquaver, which is 64th, and a quasi-hemi-demi-semiquaver, which is a...
Danish wizard.
What did you say? 128?
128.
128. So these notes are quite rare.
Why is it so rare?
So it's rare because it's so fast. So if you took a work in 4/4 time, so with a tempo of 100 beats per minute, a quasi-hemi-demi-semiquaver would last for just 0.02 seconds. So that is too short for the human ear to distinguish.
Oh, yeah.
But in fact, Beethoven and Mozart used them to describe brief, rapid sections in particular movements. The shortest note in any published work is a 1024th note, which should be called a quasi-hemi-demi-semi-hemi-demi-semiquaver.
That's his brother.
Yep. And it appears in Anthony Philip Heinrich's Toccata Grand Chromatica, which is written around 1820.
Somebody's pleased with themselves, isn't it? I've used a semi-demi-quaver.
So, to kick us off, what kind of music did they listen to in the Stone Age?
Oh.
Come on.
Rock. It was rock music.
It was rock music.
What?
Is correct.
Rock music like the Rolling Stones?
Yeah. It was going so well, and then you just opened the trap door, right, like that. Yes, singing rocks used for music have been found all over the world. So if you go to Serengeti in Tanzania, there are stone gongs in Tanzania. There's one.
Stone gong?
Yeah, well, you can actually see the impression of where they've been struck. There are dolerite boulders, so an igneous rock with percussive marks in southern India. There's a cave in France, Fuamier. It's all over the world.
But how do they resonate?
Well, it depends on the rock and the type of rock.
Yeah.
It's called a lithophone. It's from the Greek lithos for rock.
Lithos,
Yeah.
right.
So this is a Victorian group that you very pleasingly were called the Till Family Rock Band.
That sounds fun.
Isn't that fantastic?
And those are all rocks that they've laid out like a sort of glockenspiel?
Yes, exactly, darling. They're rocks from the Lake District. Indeed, the entire family is from the Lake District. The rocks are from Skiddaw. And it makes a most fantastic sound, and it is a huge pleasure to play. Have anybody here ever played a rock instrument of any kind?
I have played a rock, yes. Hit upon a stone that was designed to be struck, and it was extraordinary.
It makes a most beautiful noise.
Yeah.
So they have some in the British Museum. You're not really supposed to play them, but we have some security footage from the museum, which we're going to play you now.
Kind of jazz rock.
I would say if I was reviewing that album, I would say, as expected, slightly disappointed.
Yes.
Wow. I thought it was very musical. I've got a 4-year-old cousin who can do the same kind
There
of
you go. They're probably similar height, actually. Well, what was extraordinary was... I mean, I'm not musical in the slightest, but depending on where you hit it...
Didn't show.
Thank you, darling. I think Alan might win. Depending on where you hit it, it made a completely different sound.
Yeah.
But you get stalagmites that have clearly been used as instruments, and they were struck 20,000 years ago. In fact, there is a new theory that Stonehenge may have been an ancient concert arena. So the inner circle of stones, they're called blue stones. They take on a sort of bluey tinge when they're broken or they're wet. And some of the blue stones have it's a microscopic structure in them, and it makes them sound like a metallic gong. They came from the Preseli Hills in West Wales, a place called Caermean, which means butter rock. And they've tested the rocks in the area, and a huge number of them sort of ring out when they are struck. And it may explain why they went to such an effort to take the rocks all that distance to Stonehenge, that in fact they were making music. What do you think the term rock and roll originally referred to?
Some sort of body movement?
Yes, where?
In something that you're rolling.
Where might you have that kind of
In a barrel. In a barrel. Put in a barrel and
put in a barrel.
over a
It's the
waterfall.
movement of a ship.
In a boat, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 17th century phrase, rocking and rolling, to describe the movement of a ship on the ocean. And then in the early 20th century, you get it to be to do with dancing, to get spiritual fervour, and a euphemism for, you know.
What's that? What? It's a euphemism for...
Well, I was doing a hand euphemism there.
Oh, yes. The jellyfish claps around the
Yeah.
Two crabs colliding.
OK, sex! Sex!
Oh.
I don't know why I was shy suddenly. I don't know what that's about. But the phrase, in terms of it being used for music, it was a Cleveland radio DJ known as Alan Freed, and he used rock and roll for the very first time in 1951 to describe what we now know as rock and roll music.
Now, let's hear how you all intend to end it all. And Dara goes... And Jimmy goes... Doon goes... And Alan goes... Excellent. Great. Thank you, Alan. Superb. I think I detected the hand of the late, great Dudley Moore in your buzzer there. Now, that brings us to our final question. What were the last words of General Sedgwick in the wilderness of Spotsylvania?
He hasn't got a mouth. So there weren't any words at all, unless he wrote them down.
In a convenient bubble that he carried around with him.
Maybe he had a little notebook of bubble-shaped things. And he just
I'll tell you that the year is 1864. What war was going on then?
Franco-Prussian War.
That was a tiny bit later.
The 100 years, 30 years, 25 years.
Civil, American Civil War.
The American Civil War.
The
So we're
American
talking
Civil
about
War.
a... Yeah, well done. Thank you for cutting that
The
off.
American Civil War.
It is the American Civil War. That was not how it...